Ayushi, can you please confirm if the recording has started?
Oh yeah, the recording has started.
Okay, so should I continue?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so welcome to this workshop, and I would like to give a brief introduction about myself. So I'm Mansi Jain, and I'm a computer science undergrad at Amity University, Noida. I just finished my second year a few days back. I'm an Alpha Microsoft Learn student ambassador and also a data science and machine learning enthusiast. And I'm also part of some other tech communities. So these are the topics which we are going to discuss mainly today. First one is what is conversational AI. Then we will see what is NLU, that is natural language understanding. We will also see some of the fundamental key features which are generally associated with NLU, that are utterances, intents, and entities. Then we will see what is Lewis and some of it, the benefits which it offers. And towards the end of the session, we will see what is application development lifecycle. And throughout the session, I'll be demonstrating how to build NLU model using Lewis side by side. So I think we can start. So the first topic for the today's session is what is conversational AI. So conversational AI is a subfield of artificial intelligence focused on producing natural and seamless conversations between humans and computers. So this is the basic definition. I would let's explain it with an example. Suppose you are at Pizza Hut or Domino's and you are standing at the counter and you want to order something. So there are various ways in which you can place your order, right? Uh, Either you can say, "Hey, I want to order something," to which the user will reply. I mean the Domino's guy will reply, "Yeah, sure. What would you like to order?" So then you can tell him your choice and it will go like that. Or other way can be you say, "Hey, I want to order a double cheese margarita." So since this time you already mentioned what you want to order, the guy won't ask you what you want to order. He would rather ask about quantity or the size or any side beverages, but he won't ask the same question he asked earlier. So you see in this human to human conversation, the guy uses his human intelligence and interprets and responds according to what the user says. So similarly, when such kind of understanding is built in a machine and it also starts producing such natural and seamless conversations between humans with humans, so we start calling it as a conversational AI. So I have this video, I found this video, and I think it will help you in getting a better understanding of what conversational AI is and how it actually works. So I'll play it. Let me play it for you.
What do I have today?
Here's what your day looks like. Today you have take a walk outside at 8 a.m., your one-on-one with Anjali at 10 a.m., lunch with Tom at noon, and your app kickoff at 3 p.m.
Go ahead and reschedule my walk to tomorrow at the same time.
Sure. I can move take a walk outside to tomorrow at 8 a.m. Is that right?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, I've moved it to tomorrow.
And schedule a cram session with Nicholas and his manager from 9 to 1:30 today. And we're gonna need a room in Bellevue.
Oh, okay. I'll invite Nicholas Cohn and Michelle Estes to the cram session, and I'll put your meeting in City Center 2605. Does that look good to you?
Yeah. And push back my one-on-one with Anjali to tomorrow.
All right, I've booked your meeting. And here are a couple of options to meet with Anjali Bhatt tomorrow.
Is there anything later in the day?
Let's see. How about this one?
Yeah, that'll work. And is she invited to the app kickoff this afternoon?
No, she's not on the invite.
No, please send it to her.
Okay, I've forwarded the app kickoff to Anjali Bhatt.
Great. Oh, right. After my last meeting today, schedule 30 minutes to pick up the birthday cake.
Sure, Pick up the birthday cake at 4 p.m. Is that right?
Yep. And remind me, where is my lunch meeting today?
Lunch with Tom is at Liberty Cafe.
What's the weather going to be like?
It'll be mostly sunny and 71 degrees at Liberty Cafe at noon today.
Can we eat outside there?
Yes. Liberty Cafe has outdoor seating.
And can you send directions to my car?
Connecting to car skill. Sure, directions to Liberty Cafe have been sent to your car.
When's our next review with Cyrus?
Your next quarterly review with Cyrus Nafani is Tuesday, June 11th at 10 a.m.
Schedule a 2-hour dry run with Benjamin McIntosh the Friday before that.
All right. Does this work for you?
Yep, that looks great.
I've scheduled your dry run with Benjamin.
Thank you.
Happy to help.
So isn't it cool? Like that it was like having a on Jarvis. Like the AI was able to understand and respond to whatever the user was saying, and it was the lady was saying, and since it was connected to other various other applications like and third-party services, it was not just able to respond but also perform various tasks like scheduling meetings, changing plans, and it was able to check weather, also send directions to car, and many other tasks like that. So that is the level of understanding which is achieved by conversational AI, and I hope that it's clear. And if you have any queries, please let me know. Otherwise, let's move on to the next topic, that is NLU. So NLU stands for Natural Language Understanding, and it basically enables human-computer interaction in the form of dialogues or conversations. So it enables computers to understand commands without the formalized syntax of computer languages. By formalized syntax, I mean like in various programming languages, like we have Python, C++, we have Java, or any other programming languages. There are certain conditional statements, right, that we can use, like if else conditions, where we write code like if x is less than 0, perform task A, if x is greater than 0, perform task B, else perform some other task. So here in this condition, we are providing the program some fixed syntax, formalized syntax, which the code checks and provides output accordingly. So if we look clearly, there is no machine learning happening in that case, and the program is not building up any kind of understanding in this case. So if we talk about NLU, in NLU, it helps computers to understand and interpret human languages. It creates a sort of understanding by breaking down the elemental pieces of speech that the user deliver. Also, in NLU, machine learning models improve over time as they learn to recognize the language patterns and intents which we submit throughout the model. So this is all about NLU. Also, one point which needs to be noted here is that NLU model should be programmed with the ability to understand the meaning despite common human errors like mispronunciations or transpose letter or words. What I mean by this is like when we communicate to each other, we also sometimes make certain speech errors while speaking and typos while typing, right? But we still somehow understand what the second person is trying to say. So similarly, our NLU model should also have this ability and understanding as well. And we'll soon see how we do that, how it is done. So don't worry about that. Then after that, we have some of these fundamental key terms. I'll discuss them later. First, let's move on to the LUIS service. Let's see what is LUIS. So LUIS stands for Language Understanding Intelligence Service, and it is one of the cognitive services provided by Microsoft. So you might be having this question, what is cognitive service? So cognitive services are nothing but a set of machine learning algorithms that Microsoft has developed to solve problems in the field of artificial intelligence. So its main goal is to make AI accessible to everyone by packaging it into discrete components that are easy for developers and they can use them in their own applications really well. So Luis is one such cloud-based service which applies custom machine learning intelligence to the sentences or any instruction which is delivered by the user to the application or any NLU model, and it pulls out relevant information and predicts the overall meaning of what the user is trying to say. So here are some benefits which Luis offers. First one is quickly build a custom language solution, that is integration. So with Luis, powerful developer tools are combined with customizable pre-built apps, such as we have calendar apps, music apps. So you can build and deploy a solution more quickly. Also, it is very easy to integrate our Luis apps with other Microsoft services. We have various Microsoft services like Microsoft Bot Framework, Q&A Maker, and Speech Service, and we can create a very functionalized solution by integrating our Luis application with all these Microsoft services. Then comes always learning and improving. So active learning is used to continuously improve the quality of the natural language models when we talk about Luis. So once the model starts processing input, Luis begins active learning, which allows us to constantly update and improve the model, which is a good sign. Then another one we have is simplicity. So Lewis offloads you from the need of in-house expertise in AI field or any prior machine learning knowledge. So even if you don't have any prior knowledge in the field of machine learning and you don't know about machine learning algorithms or don't know about how to build prediction models, you can still build your own conversational AI application using this Lewis service with just few clicks. And it's really easy, and one demonstration we are going to see today. So then comes security, privacy, and compliance. So being backed by Azure infrastructure, Luis offers enterprise grade security, privacy, and compliance. So your data remains yours and you can delete your data at any time. There are no constraints regarding that. Also, your data is encrypted while it is in storage. So there are no security issues when we talk about Luis. And the last one is enterprise ready, available worldwide. So the Lewis service is ready to be deployed in commercial applications and they can scale with enterprise quality and performance. So it is enterprise ready. Secondly, since this service supports multiple language, currently I guess it supports 13 languages, so which are available worldwide. So this makes it highly accessible around the world and really improves the in scale, really helps in scaling up our applications and services. So let's go to our Lewis portal and see how it works. Go to Lewis portal, you have to type lewis.ai. I can also share this link in the chat. So I've shared this link and this is the link for Lewis portal. I have already signed in this portal. So when you will open this link, you also have to sign in with your account. And here this window will appear, which will ask us to choose an authoring resource. So to choose an authoring resource here, we have to create an authoring resource first. Since we haven't created any authoring resource, it is not showing any item here. So our first step is to create an authoring resource. And to create an authoring resource, we first need to go to the Azure portal. So let's open the Azure portal. And let me share this Azure portal link as well in the chats.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I think chats are disabled at our end.
Yes. So can't you see the link also?
No, we are able to see the link. Okay, ठीक है ऐसे कर लेंगे. No issues.
In case you have any queries or you want to say something, I have shared a Discord server link in the chat. So you can join the server and you can post your queries in that channel. There is some issue with Teams. The people who join from outside the organization can't access the chats on Teams. So that's why we have created this Discord server. I have shared the link in chats for the server.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So let's continue with the creation of resources. So I've opened this Azure portal. So first thing I'll have to sign in with my account. Once you have signed in, you have to go to the Start Free button. Click on the Start Free button. And it will take a minute to load. And so our Azure portal has opened, and once you reach here, you have to go to this navigation bar and click on Create a Resource. So since we are using language understanding service of Azure, we are going to create a language understanding resource. For that, we have to type here language and click here and then click on create. So this will allow you to create a language understanding resource. So a resource is nothing but a manageable item that we create in Azure. It can be anything. It can be a virtual machine or web app or any database or virtual network. Anything we create, any item which is manageable, any manageable item which we create in Azure, it is known as a resource. So here we are creating a language understanding resource, and when after clicking on create button, this page will appear, and in this subscription panel you have to select Azure for Students. Then here it will ask you to select a resource group. So you can either select a pre-existing resource or you can create a new one. So I'll create a new one. Also, let me explain you what a resource group is. So we can say a resource group is nothing but a kind of folder or directory where we can group all the resources related to a specific application we create. Like it is a container that holds related resources for an Azure solution. Generally, the resources that share the same life cycle are kept in the same resource groups, so that we can easily deploy or update or delete them as a group instead of doing it individually for each resource. So it saves a lot of time, and we eventually have a more functionalized way to do all the managing of resources. So let's create a new resource. Let's name our resource as MLSA demo. And this green mark will appear, which means this name is acceptable and we can move on with this name. Then we have to name our resource also. So let's name our resource as demo. And okay, let's go on with ML demo. So here again, green mark has appeared, green tick mark. So which means we can move on with this name. Now the next step is to select pricing and location for authoring resources. So you can select any location, that does not matter at all. So we can, let's select Asia Pacific, and from the pricing tier, select this. Now we have to similarly do this for prediction resources. You can select any location. Your prediction resource location and authoring resource location need not to be same. You can select different locations. Let's select and here we have selected this. So we have selected everything. So now once you have selected everything, you have to go here and on review plus create. And it will display the project details which we just selected. Just verify them once and click on create. And it will create a language understanding resource for us. It will take a minute or two. We can see it has initialized the deployment. Here the deployment is in progress. and deployment succeeded. So our deployment is complete. So this means we have successfully created our language understanding resource. So now we can go back to our LUIS portal, and now if we refresh this once, you can see that now we have this authoring resource. Earlier we were not getting any option to select, but since we just created this resource, now we can select this ML demo authoring resource here. And once you select it, click on done. Now we are ready to create our application. So when you have completed all these steps, now we have to create an application. So click on this new app button. So for today's demonstration, we are creating an HR bot. So let's name our application as HR bot only. For culture, let's stick to English. You can see here that LUIS supports many other languages, but let's select English. And this is the description box where you can enter all the details of your application, what all tasks it performs. For now, I'm leaving it blank. And in the prediction resource, again, select ML demo, which you just created on Azure portal. Once you have selected everything, click on done. And it will create an app in just few seconds. And you can see our app is created. So here it is showing that create app completed. So we have created our app successfully in the resource. Now here we can see some parameters written, intents, entities. So let's get back to our slides and see what are these. So intents. So so what is an intent? Intent represents a task or action that the user wants to perform. Using these intents, LUIS determines and understands what a user wants to do, and these are used to identify groups of statements that have the same intention. So we can say that the intent is a purpose or a goal expressed in user's input, such as booking a flight or paying a bill or placing an order, etc. So, for example, here we have this sentence: "Book me a flight to Rio next week." So, if we look closely, what is the what is the user trying to do here? It is basically asking us to book a flight, right? So, the intent associated with this sentence will be book flight. Similarly, let's take another example here. What's the weather like in Boston? So what is the action the user wants to take? It wants the AI to check the weather and respond accordingly. So the intent associated with this sentence is check weather. So this is what intent is. So in simple language, we can say intent is any action which the user wants the application to take. Whenever it provides some input statement, it is the action which it needs the application to take. So I hope it was clear. And if it's clear, let's get back to our LUIS portal and let's create some intents. So for today's demonstration in our HR bot, we are creating an HR bot to which user can request for a vacation, or he or she can edit a leave request if it has been already made. So we we'll see that, then our first intent name can be leave request. We can name our first intent as leave request. And second function we want is to edit a leave request. So let's get back there and click on create again and name our second intent as edit leave request. So we have created these two intents. You can see here, these two intents have been created, and we have all a default intent none, which was already there. So we have these three intents now, and let's go to intent and see. So here you can see here it is written, type an example of what a user might say and hit enter. So this is where the role of utterances come in. So let's get back to the slides and see what are utterances. So utterances are pure natural language processing training. What it means is that it is basically the input from the user which we provide to our application or any NLU model, and the model uses it to interpret what the person is trying to say and what the task is needed to be performed. So we can say that utterances are used to train the models as well. So let's suppose there's a user who wants to buy a computer. So as we discussed before, that there are multiple ways to say a single sentence or to ask the AI to perform some particular task. So our bot can tell the user from where he or she can buy a computer, but for the application to tell us what is the user's intent, we first need to give it examples of how the user would ask for it. And to do so, we will simply input a range of utterances or sentences that mean the same thing. Like here I have mentioned in the example utterances, how do I get a computer? Where do I get a computer? When can I have a computer? I want to get a computer. How do I go about it? So all these are the example utterances, and we simply input such range of utterances that means the same thing and tell the application that these utterances mean the user wants to know where the store is located. And once we do this, after a proper training process, based on their utterances, on these utterances, our application will be able to tell us what the user actually wants to say. When it will receive a new utterance, it will be able to recognize as we have trained our model with similar utterances already. So I guess it's clear. Let's get back to our portal. And what we have to do is now we have to pass a set of utterances, which we just discussed that we have to pass a range of utterances for our intents. So we'll pass a set of utterance for each of these intents. And for that, I have this data set here. I use this data set for this. And you can see here there is a whole list of utterance which are associated with different intents. We have request a vacation, edit a vacation, and many more. Ask about remaining vacation days. So today we are only performing these two functions, that is editing a vacation, requesting a vacation. So what we have to do is we have to just simply copy these utterances from here to the intent example user input here and click enter. So due to time constraints, I will not copy all these utterances. I'll just copy 15. But when you will perform this, when you will build this model, try to use all the utterances as it will increase the accuracy eventually. So all of them. Meanwhile, if you have any queries, just keep them coming. I'll look at them at the end of the session. So it is a little bit time taking, but the advantage we have here is that we don't need to do any machine learning programming over here. We don't need to build any prediction models or algorithm. We don't have to use any algorithms here. So that's the plus point. I guess I've copied. Let's check if I've copied all the 15 instances, utterances. Yes, I have copied 15 utterances. So here I have copied all the utterances. Let's do the same for the second one as well. Edit leave request. So similarly, we'll go to the data set. Let's scroll down a bit. And here it is starting from here. Let's start copying the utterance for edit leave request. Let me check how many I have copied. I've copied 11. Let's copy 4 utterances more. Let's see. So yeah, we have copied 15 utterances each for both of these intent leave request and edit leave request. So we have created intents also. We have submitted the set of utterances also. So our last step is to go and create entities. So let's go back to the slides and see what are entities. So entities simply represent parameters required to execute some action or intent. For example, if a user use this utterance, that is, I want to order a box of chocolates. So here, if we evaluate this utterance or key aspects, for key aspects, we can see that the user wants to place an order. So the intent, we can state the intent of this utterance as place order, which I have written here, intent as place order. So now entities aren't only words or phrases, but they can be simple data also. So this data helps in providing specific context for the utterance, and also it helps the algorithm in identifying the intent more accurately. So in this case, the entity will be the box of chocolates, and uh, it is not necessary that every utterance should have some entity. Utterances can be entity without entities also. I have this another example also. Let's take this for understanding it better. Suppose the user submits this utterance, find me flights from Cairo to Seattle today. So can any one of you tell me what can be the intent associated with this utterance? What is the user actually trying to do with this utterance? You can unmute also, or otherwise I'll go and see on Discord. Anyone? So okay, I'll only tell. So find me flights from Cairo to Seattle today. Yeah, right, find flights. So the intent of here is find flights. We can either say book flight or find flights. We can provide any name here. So the intent for this utterance will be finding flights. So to find a flight, what are some required parameters? What do we need to provide the AI so that it can find flights for us? It can be origin city, destination city, and date. These 3 parameters are required mainly so that the AI can find us a flight according to our needs. So here Cairo is our origin city, Seattle is the destination city, and today is associated with the date. So these 3 are the entities over here. So I hope you understood what entities mean. If yes, then let's go back to our portal and create entities for our application. So here we have these intents, leave request and edit leave request. So for leave request, what can be some parameters which we'll need? It can be a start date of the leave, end date of the leave, and or it can be number of days for which the user wants to apply for the leave request, or it can be the reason. So let's stick with these 4 parameters and let's create these 4 entities now. So let's name our first entity as start date. Again, click on entities and create. and second one as end date. Third one can be the number of days. And fourth one is the reason. So we have created these 4 entities. Let's see. Yeah, we have created these 4 entities. So what is our next step? We have to go to the leave request intent and we have to start labeling all these entities in these utterances. For example, in this utterance, I need to request a paid time off for travel starting from this date and it will last 8 days. So here, this is the starting date, right? So we'll select this date and click on start date. And you see here, it has labeled this date as start date. Then it will last 8 days. So 8 days is the number of days. So we'll select it and we'll label it as number of days. And paid time off for travel is can be labeled as the reason here. So this is how you label entities in the utterances, and this is what we have to do for all the utterances which we have passed here. So it will take some time, but let's do it. So time off from July 23 start date. August 13 will be the end date. And I need to rest will be the reason. I need to take my sick vacations. So 20 days here will be the number of days. And start on June 1st. So this will be the starting date. And due to personal reasons, so we can select personal reasons and we can label it as the reason. Suffering from fever for 7 days. So I need sick leave for 5 days. So here 5 days is the number of days for which the user wants break. Then it is starting from 25th February. So let's label it as the start date. And suffering from fever will be the reason. Start date, number of days, and sick with flu will be the reason. 7 days will be the number of days. First of July is the start date. And sick because of sickness reasons. So sickness reasons is the reason here. Now I need an unpaid vacation from January 10th is the start date. It is time taking, but then again, we have this advantage that we don't have to build any machine learning models. And without the knowledge of AI, I'll be able to build a AI model here today. So I want a pleasure trip from for December 12th. This will be the start date, and 15 days will be the number of days. And for my free time is the reason. So here starting from January 3, start date and finishing on January 13th. So this is the end date. And this is the reason. Then we have I need vacation for this period because trip with family. So here you can see here we only have one entity, that is trip with family. We don't have any dates. So I told you that it is not necessary that every time we have all the entities mentioned in all the utterances. We can have utterances without entities as well. also, in some of the utterances, you will find that there are some typos and grammatical mistakes. So it is done on purpose. Remember, I told you that in the beginning that our NLU model should have this ability to understand the user's message, even if it consists of any typo or mispronunciation is there any. So this is that understanding is achieved by this by submitting utterances with few utterances with typos as well. So it will help the model in building up that understanding. So this is the start date, end date, and the reason. End date, and because I must visit my parents will be the reason. That starts on June 7th, start date, and ends on June 15th, end date. So we have labeled all the entities in our first intent leave request. You can see we have labeled everything. Let's go back to our intents and select our edit leave request and see. Now we have to label here also, but if we look at the edit leave request intent, we'll require some more extra intent entities in this case. In this case, we'll be needing some new dates, new number of days, because the user will say something like, if we see this example, hello, I need 3 extra days of vacation starting 25th of May. So from 12 days, it should be 15 now. So here we have an old number of day and here we have new number of days. So now we have to create some new entities for this intent. So let's create old, our first entity as old start date. Click on create and then again on entities, click create old end date. Again, click on create. Then new number of days, new start date. New end date. And last two entities will be old number of days and new number of days. Like capital. So old number of days. And our last entity as new number of days. So we have created the new entities which are required for our second intent. And let's see. Yeah, we have created. Let's go to the intent, edit leave request. And similarly, as we did for the previous intent, we have to do it for this one. So let's see. Hello, I need 3 extra days of vacation starting 25th of May. So 25th of May is the old start date. And from 12 days, so 12 days are the old number of days. It would be 15 now. So 15 is the new number of days. And then could I change the request for a vacation starting on January 13th? So January 13 is the old start date. And here 12 days instead of 8. So 12 days is the new number of days and 8 is the old number of days. So again, 10 is the old number of days, 14 is the new number of days. Then change the vacation days which start on May 2. So old start date. 31 is the old number of days and 62 is the new number of days. On March 4th. So March 4th is the old start date. And 15 days will be the change vacation on March 14 of 15 days is the old number of days. And 12 days is the new number of days. Similarly, we have to do this for all the utterances. So let's do it quickly. From 8 days, old number of days, new number of days was May 1st was the original date, so old start date. And May 9th will be the old end date. Then we have the new start date as May 5th. So new start date and new end date is May 15th. So new end date is May 15th. Edit old and add new vacation from 7 to 14 days. So 7 will be the old number of days and 14 will be the new number of days. Starting from January 12th is the old start date. Please change my vacation days. It was start October. See again here also we have some typos and grammatical errors. So it is all done on purpose so that our model can have that understanding. Now I need more days, 14 instead of 7. So 14 will be the new number of days. 7 is the old number of days. Edit the role vacation and reduce a day from 30 days to 20 days. And this is going to be the original date. So let's label it as old start date. Then we have, I need to change the number of days in my vacation, 20. Old number of days and 30 as new number of days. And starting date is January 3rd. So again, old start date. Then change the days of the vacation that started on March 10th and went until March 15th. So started on March 10th will be the old start date. March 15 will be the old end date. March 20th will be the new start date and March 25th will be the new end date. February 20 will be the start date and from 10 days to 15 days. So old number of days and new number of days. Oh wait, I labeled it wrong. It will be old end date. So now to be between January 15. So January 15 will be the new start date and wait, January 15 new start date and January 13 will be the new end date. So this is our last utterance. Can you please edit my vacation? That was from 20. So 20 is the new start date. Sorry, old start date. This is the old end date. And we want it to start from this. So this is the new start date. And this is the new end date. So we have labeled all the entities in all our utterances. New end date. So this is what we have done. We have labeled all the entities. And if we go back to our intent, now we have completed all the steps and now we are ready to train our model. So is it clear till now? You can let me know in the chats or you can unmute if you have any doubts. And
Yes, Mansi, it's clear.
okay. Let me give you a quick recap what we did. We firstly created the resource group, and inside that resource group, we created a resource using Microsoft Azure portal. Then we used that language understanding resource here on LUIS portal, and here we created an application inside that resource. Then we created intents and we created entities. And inside these intents, we passed a set of utterance for each of them and then labeled all the entities in all these utterances. Now, our next and final step is to train the model. So we'll simply go here and click on train. And train completed. So our model is completed. So here you see we didn't have to do anything. Everything was handled by the LUIS model. And it's time to test our model. So let's take some example utterances here. We have, let's take this example. Also, it might be that it might not show the correct result because we have used very less utterances and accuracy rate might be affected due to that. Okay, for this one we have received the right. Uh, just a minute, let me check. Okay, so yeah, we have received the right output leave request, and here we can see it has also printed a score that is 0.509. So this 0.509 is the accuracy score which LUIS calculates for all the intents which we have created. So it displays that along with the result. Let's try with some more examples. Let's take this one and see if it works. So yeah, make my vacation that was from July 15 to August 15 to be from July 20 to August 20, please. So we can see that it has returned edit leave request and the accuracy rate here is 0.734. So our model is working fine, even though we have provided a less number of utterance, set of less number of utterance, but that's okay. I'll still suggest you to use all these utterances when you will be training your model. And yeah, this is how we created our model, and this was the demonstration part. And let's move on to the last topic that we have, that is the application development life cycle. So also one more thing which I forgot to tell you is like I have to show one more thing. Just wait. LUIS port. Let me go to the LUIS AI portal homepage. And here you can see here I have this is what I want to show you. Suppose these are the example utterances we have. So, suppose the user enters book me a flight to Cairo. So this is what happens at the back end of the application. If we created this model, like we created this model and we integrate this model in some app with some other services, and we create some application using this model. So when we pass some utterance like book me a flight to Cairo, uh, this is what will happen at the backend, and LUIS will return this block of code. Like, let's explore what is here, what is written here. Like here, if we write book me a flight to Cairo, it will associate this book me a flight to Cairo with the variable query, and also it is returning a array of intents here. If you can see here, this is the array of intents we have. So if the developer who has created this model, he might have mentioned all these intents while creating. Like here we created these two intents. So during when he built this app, so he mentioned these intents there. Book flight, none intent is also here. It is by default there in every application. Then we have location finder, reminder, and food order. So all these are the intents, and it is returning all these intents with some particular score associated with each of them. So we have this book flight intent has the score 0.988, and other then we have these other intents which have some particular score. And if we look closely, we'll see that the accuracy score of book flight is 0.988, which is much higher than as compared to others. Here we have 0.04, here we have 0.01. So that's why what LUIS does is it calculates the accuracy score for each intent, and the intent with the highest accuracy score, it returns it as a top intent. Here you can see here top intent is marked as book flight. So it returns an whole array of all the intents with their respective accuracy scores, and it sees checks which score is the highest, which one has the highest accuracy score, and then it returns it as a top intent. Also, if we scroll down a bit, we'll see that it is also returning intents here. So in this case, we have a single entity, that is location Cairo. If we would have written here book me a flight to India, our location variable would have been India here. So I hope it was clear. What I was trying to show you was how it works at the backend. Here we have another example, order me 2 pizzas. So here when we pass this, the query automatically changes to order me 2 pizzas. And we have this top intent changed to food order. Again, it is returning the whole array of intents with all those previous intents, but this time the accuracy score of food order intent is the highest. We can see here 0.99, and other intents have lower accuracy score, a much lower accuracy score as compared to food order. So that's why this time it is returning top intent as food order. Also here in this case, it is again returning entities, and we have 2 entities here. First one is of type number and second one is of food type. And here it has value 2 because it was order me 2 pizzas, and what was the order? Pizzas. So it is the food type and it is storing it here. So I hope you understood how it works at the backend. This was something I wanted to show you. So now we can move on to the last topic, and this is application development lifecycle. So first step in the application development lifecycle is plan. So in planning, we first identify the resources that users might use your application for. So it defines the actions and relevant information that needs to be recognized. Then our second step is build. So we use our authoring resources to develop our app, and we start by defining intents and entities as we did a B. So what we did, we created a resource inside a resource group, and then we created an application inside our resource in which we created intents and entities, and we passed a set of utterances. So all this comes under building, and then our next step is test and improve. So we start testing our model with other utterances also. So to get a sense of how our app actually behaves when a user enters something. So this will help us decide if any improvement is needed in the model. And in case of any improvement, we'll pass some more newer utterances in the model and then train it again. And again, test it. So this will eventually help us in improving the accuracy of the model. Then comes the publish. So in publish, we deploy our apps for prediction and query, and the endpoint using the prediction resources. And you can also learn more about these authoring and prediction resources. I'll share a document link later with you all in which everything is written in detail, and you can get a good understanding there. Then comes our next step, that is connect. So once you have planned your application, you have built it, you have tested and improved it, and you have also published it, it's time you can connect that application with other services also. So I have told this thing before also, that you can connect your application with other Microsoft services as well, like Microsoft Bot Framework, Q&A Maker, and speech services. So this is where you can connect your application with other services, and you can come up with some more functionalized solutions for your problems. Then last one is refine. So review endpoint utterances. Here we review the endpoint utterances to improve our application and with real life examples. So it is somewhat similar to the test and improve step. but it comes after we connect it with other other Microsoft services. So once you have published and connected, after that, when you try to improve your application, it comes under the refine process. And then after refining, you have to go again, build the model, then again you have to test and improve, and you have to repeat all these steps. So this is what the application development lifecycle is. And that's all what I needed. This was all which was I wanted to cover in this workshop. So if you have any questions, you can tell me. Let me check if there are any questions. So do we have any pre-built Lewis models like for specific uses, like just related to food orders or flight booking? No, we don't have any pre-built Lewis models, but we can create, and we do have data sets. We do have a lot of data sets. And you saw here, I created a model. It took me barely, I guess, 20 to 25 minutes. So yeah. Then we have which app integrations are supported by Lewis models. So I told you, like here also we have many Microsoft services, Microsoft Q&A Maker and Bot Framework, and we can use all these services. We can integrate our application with these services and or any other application of your own, and you can create bots using these models, and you can deploy them in your applications. So that's how it works. Any other questions? You can also unmute. If anybody wants to unmute, they can unmute and ask their queries. Where can we get large data sets? So if you are talking about the data set I used, I'll share this dataset repository link with you. Also, we have a lot of data sets available online, so you just need to search for them. I'll share my data set with you all on Discord just after the session ends. Yeah. So any other questions?
Mansi, share the data set on the chat as well, Teams chat.
Okay. Just a second. Let me share the repository link. Actually, my repository, I made it private. I'll have to make it public. So that's why I was saying that I'll share it after the session. People who are in this meeting can join the Discord server. I'll share all the resources, all the documents which I talked about, and slides and data sets on the server. So please join the Discord server. Let me share the link of the Discord server again. And I'll share all these resources which I used in that server. So if anyone have any question, or else we can move on to the feedback part. I'm sharing this link, and this is a feedback form. So this was my first event as an Alpha Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. So I'll appreciate some feedback from all of you. Please take some time and fill this feedback form so I'll be able to improve for my upcoming sessions. And that was all from my side. If you still have any queries, you can post them on Discord and I'll answer them after the session also. And yeah, if you're talking about the feedback form, yeah, let me share it right now, and I'll share it again with all the resources as well. So I've shared the feedback form on chats, and yeah, that's all from my side, and I'll share the resources for sure after the session. And thank you everyone for joining in. It was really great having you all, and thanks for staying here for whole time. And let's end the meeting then. Bye bye. Thank you.